Hello and Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Let's wait for a few more minutes to give room for others to join us today.
Okay.
Morning, Mr. Hans. Shall we start now?
Yeah.
Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh and a pleasant morning. Welcome to the Magnificent 7 Communication Series, a plus factor to gain industry insight. We would like to extend our warm welcome to our guest of honor, Yang dihormati Mr. Hans Stowe, Certified Professional Resume Writer. Yang berusaha, Dr. Siti Zanariah binti Haji Yusof, the advisor of IPRMSA UNIZA Chapter. Yang berusaha, Siti Nur Syafiqah binti Zulkarnain, the president of IPRMSA UNIZA Chapter. Yang berusaha, Mr. Muhammad Nazri bin Abu Hassan, the head of the program, as well as the lecturers and all of the students. I would like to take a moment to recognize and thank all of the audience for attending this talk. My name is Nur Najwa binti Azhan, and it is my pleasure to be your MC for today. Ladies and gentlemen, before I proceed, may I invite everyone to invoke the Almighty God for His blessings and may peace be upon our Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. With that, I would like to call upon Mr. Amar for the Dua recitation. Please welcome.
Those non-Muslims are welcome to pray according to your belief. Al-Fatiha. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين. حمدا يوافي نعمه ويكافئ مزيده. يا ربنا لك الحمد كما ينبغي لجلال وجهك وعظيم سلطانك. اللهم صل على سيدنا محمد وعلى آل سيدنا محمد. اللهم إنا نسألك سلامة في الدين وعافية في الجسد وزيادة في العلم وبركة في الذكر وتوبة قبل الموت ورحمة عند الموت ومغفرة بعد الموت. اللهم هون علينا في سكرة الموت والنجاة من النار والعفو عند الحساب. اللهم أعنا على ذكرك وشكرك وحسن عبادتك. Ya Allah, Ya Rahman Rahim, you are the one who created the wonders of the moon and the sun, the skies and the seas, the earth that cycles, also the wonders and secrets in heaven. You are the most merciful and gracious one. Grant us your forgiveness and love. Bless us, our family, our friends, our relatives, and all people around the world. Help and guide us so we can walk on your path. Nurture us with your red door, so we will become blissful and successful people eternally. Ya Allah, amidst this current pandemic, keep us away from COVID-19. We seek refuge in you from this evil disease. Bless us all with peace, health, and happiness. With that, bless our program today, so our gathered effort will gain your rahmah the moment it starts to its last second. Please put nothing in this program but all goodness and blessings. ربنا ظلمنا أنفسنا وإن لم تغفر لنا وترحمنا لنكونن من الخاسرين. ربنا لا تزغ قلوبنا بعد إذ هديتنا وهب لنا من لدنك رحمة إنك أنت الوهاب. ربنا آتنا في الدنيا حسنة وفي الآخرة حسنة وقنا عذاب النار. اللهم اغفر لنا ذنوبنا وكفر عنا سيئاتنا وتوفنا مع الأبرار. آمين يا رب العالمين.
Thank you, Mr. Amar, for the beautiful prayer. May our event be blessed and run accordingly. Ladies and gentlemen, for your information, this Magnificent 7 Communication Series program is a collaboration between PLUS and UNIZA to bring value and experience by the communication industry's practitioners as well as specialists to help provide advantages to the students when venturing into the working world of PR. It is a great honor for IPRMSA UNIZA to embark a journey together as PLUS is Malaysia's largest highway network, which spans across 1,130 kilometers long and also covers the East Coast with 180 184 kilometers long highway known as the LPT2, which is the Lebuh Raya Pantai Timur Kedua. With this collaboration, it is hoped that this program is able to give exposure to students about the importance of communication field in an organization and the skills needed. We also want to enlighten the students about the careers in communications through the online seminars that will be shared by the experts. Without further ado, now we're going to show you a montage video of IPRMSA UNISA chapter. Please enjoy. Allow me to spend some time to introduce our respective speaker for today's session, Mr. Hans To. Mr. Hans received his higher education at University Technology Malaysia and bachelor's degree in mechanical engineering with first-class honours. He was awarded Certified Professional Resume Writer and Certified Employment Interview Professional. He is a professional resume writer and is dedicated in helping people to recruit employees. He also helps those who are looking for jobs by helping them to write better resume. That aims to teach the undead a spot in the industry. Not to forget, his website, which is hansto.com, is a website that helps people to land the job of their dream. Last but not least, I would like to call upon Mr. Hans To and the moderator for the sharing session. Please welcome.
All right. Let me open up the PowerPoint slideshow. All right, good morning, everybody. I hope that everybody is fine. I think the second day or the third day into the new MCO. Over here, I mean, I'm in the red zone, so I mean, probably a bit tight. I'm not sure you guys in Terengganu. But anyhow, okay, welcome to Get Hired, crafting personal brand on a resume. All right, thank you for inviting me for this Magnificent 7 series. All right. Okay. Thank you for the MC for a great introduction about me. All right. But let me share a bit about myself as well. All right. As you know, my name is Ansto. All right. I'm Malaysia's first certified professional resume writer and interview coach. And for the past 18 years, I have been helping people just like you, fresh graduates, people who are new in the industry or even 20, 30 years in industry, get to get a dream job, basically. What we do in, by the way, I started Hans.com. I want to offer a couple of services. Yeah. So what we do is basically we write resumes, we write cover letters, and also LinkedIn profiles for clients. Basically, these are the few tools that will help you get noticed. When we talk about branding, the first thing is you got to get noticed. How do you differentiate yourself from the rest of the competition? So by using these three tools, documents, you will be able to position yourself, as one of the best candidate for any job. All right. So besides that, I also provide interview coaching. Interview coaching is basically sharing or basically training people, how to answer questions. Especially, you're not going in to just share about yourself. It's not about that. It's about talking things that is relevant and meaningful to the interview, so that they will know that you are able to perform the role. So that's basically in a nutshell what I do. And also, I author 2 books. Get Hired. All right, that's a book that I've authored. It's in English and one is Malay. All right, I wrote the whole Malay version as well. It takes some time. When you talk about writing a book, it takes around maybe 4 months for the English, and another one is no. I took 6 months to write the BM first. All right, the BM version first, because during that time, all the experiences comes from my involvement with the GEMS program. GEMS program is a graduate employability and marketability program. That one was back in 2013. Where I worked a lot of jobless grads. So these graduates, they are like probably 12 months to 18 months. After graduation, they are not getting any interview at all. So let alone jobs. So what we do is we help them craft themselves and improve their personal branding, and as well, we managed to probably get around 93% out of the 480 students and participants that we work with got a job within the first weeks of that. So it's a great experience. So I actually wrote them all down in that book, the Malay version first. Then after that, the publisher will say, "Can't you publish another one in English?" All right, the English was faster, probably around 2 months. So it's basically that's some background on the book. All right, I'm sure you guys have LinkedIn. All right, LinkedIn. Find me on Ansto and try to add me on. All right, later you will know what's the ness of this LinkedIn. There will be a speaker talking about it, I'm sure. Right, and also Hans.resume is my Facebook, so you can go there, like it, and then basically a lot of infographics in terms of what to do. Tips for job hunting as in generally. It's not just resume. It could be interview. It could be LinkedIn. Whatever tools that is out there that will help you. And besides that, have a YouTube channel, and still during that time where we've got time to produce a lot of videos. Right now it's so busy, quite busy nowadays, right, with a lot of webinars, and also need to do writing as well. So the plate is quite full. That's good, even though we are in a very challenging economic environment right now. So for you guys, don't worry, there will be a time where you will be as busy as me as well. All right. Okay. So moving along, what we're going to do today is we're going to share a bit of how to write a resume to position you or to brand yourself into potential employers. Yeah. But before that, let's look at a bit of differences between a resume and a CV. All right. I'm sure you know what's a resume, what's a CV, right? But there are actually some differences here. So when we talk about resume, it's actually a short version, a short document that contains things that is relevant towards the job that you are applying only. Whereas a CV or curriculum contains everything. So usually, for fresh grad like you, a resume should not be longer than 2 pages. All right. Whereas you can go very lengthy, because it shares a lot of things, up to your nowadays, the secondary time. All right, so you can always share that CV. But in the differences is basically when you talk about resume, it's for application for jobs in the corporate world. Corporate world meaning like normal companies, whereas the CV purposes only. So if, let's say, for example, you're applying for a job as a lecturer or a researcher, you need to send. Whereas, if you're looking for in corporate company, then you need to send resume. Right. So the issue here is like, for example, a company like Maxis, they ask for a CV. The vacancy advertisement online, they ask, for interested candidates, please send your latest CV to this email address, for example. So what you need to do is, you need to understand, to differentiate like whether they are a corporate company or a institute of higher learning. If they are in like a university, then you need to send a CV. Whereas if you're sending for a company like Maxis, for example, then you send a resume. So it is there out there a lot of people mix up CV, resume, but in the end of the day, they just want a document that represents you. So you need to be able to differentiate. All right, so that's the differences and the CV. By the way, if you guys have any question, just type on the chat box there. Later, at the end of the presentation, I'm going to address it. Just in case you got ideas, just do that. I'm doing that for all the webinars that I've attended so far. It's quite useful because the idea comes now. Let's say, for example, I got a question about resume and CV. I can't wait until the end. If you have it now, just type it there. Later, I'm going to address it. All right. Okay. So moving along would be the second part is basically what is a resume. When we talk about resume, it's actually a marketing tool. And when we talk about marketing tool, it is something like a brochure. All right. I'm sure you go to any shopping center or anywhere like where there's commercial area, or when they pass you a piece of leaflet or a brochure, how long do you usually look at it? That's the question. All right. So most of the time, you take a glance at it and then just throw away. Why we do that? Because whatever they are presenting is not of interest to us. So similarly, with your resume, there's this research. There was a research done. Roughly a resume, for the first screen, it's only 6 seconds. So in 6 seconds, they glance at it, they look at the right. We want the right information and the right areas. If you have them, and then they read further. If you don't have it, then they just close your. Press the X at the top corner to look for the other one. So later I'm going to share with you in terms of how to capture attention in terms of the first 6 seconds, so that they would want to read further. Because if you don't do that, no matter how good you write, no matter how good you brand yourself, also no point, because nobody is reading. All right, so that's important to know. And secondly, when we talk about resume, it's only to help you to secure your interview. It's not to get you the job there. So a lot of candidates or applicants, they like to write a lot of things in there, as if they want to explain things. And for example, they have gap in their career, and then they want to explain it there. They have a gap or anything. To me, those kind of stuff, those kind of information should be addressed during the interview, not on the resume. So don't try to put everything in there. The things that we're going to put that needs to be included in the resume, I'm going to talk about it later. But again, you do not want to tell everything on a resume. The whole point here is to get the interview and then you go in and tell everything. So that's the second thing about a resume. And thirdly, a resume needs to be tailored meaning that you need to change it in terms of the content, in terms of the keyword position, and everything to the job that you want to apply. You can't be having one type of resume and you share it to everybody. It doesn't work, because when we talk about people out there, the hiring managers and the companies, they like to hire specialists, meaning someone who is really experienced or knowledgeable in that particular area that they're looking for. So you're doing a resume that contains ABC skills, and whereas someone only need A, you will be basically making yourself look general. So if let's say, for example, your ABC skill sets, but you know that the job you want to apply only wants A, then you tailor your resume, remove the B and C part of it, talk about the A skills. So that's in general when we talk about resume. So it means that you need to do multiple versions of your resume, to suit the needs of each company. So that's in a nutshell what it is. So moving to the next question. If you've got any question about this, the introduction, you just type in the chat area. And moving along would be, what hiring managers want to know. Yeah. All right. In your case, as fresh graduates, they actually want to know two things. All right, only two things. The first thing is basically your hard skills. Okay, hard skills related to your experiences and also your knowledge. So when we talk about experiences, it's about where you worked before, when you internship, do your internship and stuff like that. And also about the knowledge is what you have done in your course, your program. So let's say, for example, you're in corporate communication doing doing corporate communication. What sort of knowledge do you have in that particular area? Or you're doing bachelor in accounting, for example. What sort of knowledge you learn. So if we talk about accounting, it's about full sets of accounts, AR, AP, those kind of stuff. All right, if you're in there. By the way, I'm not sure what sort of background you guys are in. I'm sure you're corporate communication or anyhow, to give the right example here. But anyhow, you can just share, in the chat box there, so that I know, it's addressing your needs. All right. Okay. Another thing is, after you're talking about hard skills, it's about time to talk about your soft skill as well. So there are two things: the hard skills and the soft skills. All right. When we talk about soft skills, it's mostly on the transferable skills. Transferable skills, like for example, communication, analytical skills, teamwork skills, leadership skills. Those are examples of it, and also planning and organization, and also problem solving. So you need to share a bit about that in terms of your soft skills. I'm sure you guys have a lot of those things. A lot of times it's not really articulated. From most of my clients, fresh graduate clients. And by the way, fresh graduate is not many. I usually serve people who are really, really experienced. Really, their problem is I got so much experience, I don't know what to write. Hans, can you help me identify? Whereas for fresh graduate, they usually can pick up this resources available online, and they can create. But over here, what I do is I'm sharing you guys so that you can catch the right thing. Because if you look at the Google, there a lot of stuff. What is considered correct or not correct. So that's the thing. It's not say fake news. It's to me, this is not news. This is techniques. All right. And whatever I'm sharing is basically things that is proven. All right. I've written for fresh graduate, and most of the time, within to become a Hans, I want to subscribe to your interview coaching already. So that's why I feel it works. All right. But anyhow, back to the soft skill side. Okay, it's transferable skills. Number one. The second, basically the characteristics. Okay, characteristics are things like, for example, proactive, willing to be extra mile, or someone who is really adaptable. You can and versatile. Do almost any role or any task if you are trained well, or you can see yourself. You can also term yourself as a fast learner if you want to. So those are a couple of characteristics. So what we need to do is we need to ensure that all skills and soft skills is mentioned in there, so that you create a balance of both your knowledge, experience, and so soft skills and characteristics. All right, so that's basically what I really want to know. Okay, so let's look at how does a basic resume looks like, right, for fresh graduate like you. Right? So if you guys are on, pardon me, this is too small. If it's too small, because I'm trying to fit 2 pages in one what they call a slide. Yeah. All right. So basically, we look at the number of sections available, usually between 7 to 8 sections, but not all sections you need to have. Yeah. So we need to know, whether you have the information, then you include. If you don't, that's whether we focus on other things. All right. So let's start at the top. When you talk about the top, it's basically the contact information. So when you talk about contact information, first thing is the name, of course, the location, your address. To me, this is to show where you're from only. They're not going to walk in or send any snail mail to your house anymore. Some they like to put the full address. Yeah, you can put that, or you just put Bukit Jalil, Kuala Lumpur, just to let them know where you're from. So that, and thirdly, you need to talk about you need to share your mobile number. Yeah, stay away from your landline. If you have landline at home, no point of putting that, because everybody has and also email address. And one point. One thing when talk about email address is to ensure that whatever emails that you're providing, it sounds, stay away from things like, for example, honeybunny@gmail.com, for example. It sounds so cute, sounds so funny and everything, right? But to me, it's probably useful for you for other things. But for job hunting, it has to be very serious. Serious meaning like professional. Like, let's say, for example, your name Tan Wehan, you can put wehantan@gmail.com or something like that. So that's That's the way you write your email. Anyhow, it's free. Go and create one. Similarly, when you talk about the name of the email, when you email address, how they term you, you need to change that to your name as well to make sure it sounds professional. Yeah. And for your date of birth, you need to. The HR people wants to know. When you talk about fresh graduate, it's usually between 22, 26 years old or 25 years old. So you within the range, they know. If you say for anyone older, then they'll find out, whether you have experiences or not. So that's in a nutshell in terms of the contact information that you need to share. So, okay, things that you don't need to share is basically race and religion, marital status, what else? Yeah, your IC number. Okay, this kind of stuff I don't think you need to write in, because this is to let people know who you are, how to contact, some stuff like that only. So in terms of what they call that, in terms of picture, yeah, okay, about picture, all right, to me, it depends on the role. If you're doing corporate communication, a lot of roles, then you need to get a very, very professional looking photo and then put it there. But if let's say, for example, you're doing stuff like, for example, administrative or that doesn't go in front, not frontline jobs, then you do not need to have a photo. Because when you talk about photo, this is very subjective. Yeah, a lot of HR executives, the executive level people, when in resume, they usually number one thing they're gonna do is look at the picture and look at it whether this one is handsome, lawa ke, kata lawa tak handsome, and they can reject. Okay, there is possibility of that. So if you ask me, the safest way to look at whether you want to include a picture or not is look at the vacancy advertisement. If the vacancy advertisement asks you to include, then you need to include. Else, you do not want to. Right? Unless you're really pretty, you're really pretty and handsome, you've got a lot of. To me, you have that kind of asset, just maximize it. It's no wrong. All right. So it depends on the what they call that the job. All right. So number one, the personal information. All right. After you've done that, it's time to talk about your career profile. Okay, career profile is actually a snapshot, of what you can offer. Yeah. When you talk about what you're an offer, what we're going to do is we want to tie in a lot of hard skills, soft skills, and so characteristics in that profile that you want to let people in a very fast manner within the first 6 seconds, what you can offer. So over example is accounting example, and a first class accounting graduate with strong knowledge across financial reporting, auditing, and regulatory compliance. Okay, the keywords here is basically financial reporting, auditing, and regulatory compliance. If you're applying for a job like that, but for example, you're doing corporate, right? So you can write in first class corporate communication graduate with strong knowledge in internal, external communication, marketing and branding, for example, as well as crisis communication. You see, things that keywords that you possess, but make sure, all right, these 3 keywords that you are mentioning is also mentioned in the vacancy advertisement that you are applying. So that you can probably create one version first, because when people hire, they want to hire somebody who is doing that particular role. If the vacancy advertisement mentioned this state must be able to perform internal and external communication activities, then that particular keyword of internal and external communication must be in the first line. So that's how to tie up, to ensure that people read more than 6 seconds. Don't not just look at it and throw away. All right, so that's number one. Okay, after that, what you do is you need to share your soft skills. Soft skills is basically, for example, possess strong analytical and communication skill coupled with solid teamwork. Okay, there's 3 there. And lastly, with the character sentence, a statement like recognize as a fast learner, eager to assess, make a positive contribution. So those are basically things that you can offer. If you notice, it's basically things that you can offer. It's not things that you want. Some people will ask me, Hans, what about my objective? To me, when we talk about objective, is usually written in the cover letter rather than on the resume. Because when we talk about objective, it's something that you want. Your objective, not the company's objective. What we do is we need to change around, the mindset. Instead of sharing, what you want from the company, you need to share what you can offer to companies. So that's how to write a profile. Usually this profile is between 3 to 4 sentences in length only. You don't want to be very lengthy, because it's just a snapshot. All right. So once you're done with that, okay, it's time to talk education and the key knowledge area. Okay, education. What you do is you write the name of your Bachelor of Commerce, majoring in accounting, for example, and your CGPA, if it's good. All right. Talk about good CGPA, it's above 3.5. If you're getting 3.5 and above, all right, then it's good to include. Else, to me, if you get around 3.2, 3.1, I think that those are numbers that better don't include, all right? Because this is another thing that people would screen. Yeah? If let's say, for example, fresh graduate, the first thing they look at the photo, all right? Photo, not handsome, talawa. Okay, they reject you. The second one is CGPA. Oh, low CGPA, reject you. They haven't read anything. That's the problem. So we are having, but if we got good ones, then just use it. Make your opportunity with that. All right. So that's on the CGPA, and then after that, the name of your university, for example. So if you're like Bachelor of Corporate Communication, all right, the CGPA and the university. So that's an example. And if you have taken diploma, you can write in there as well. Diploma in accounting, for example. Which polytech you get it from, and okay. Those are the two things that you should include. If you have a master degree, PhD degree, I can include all those. To the top if you want to. But the lowest you need to include is basically the diploma side only. Okay, anything to do with matrix, A levels, foundation, those kind of stuff. I think it's not worth anything out there. It's worth for you a program, but for work, there's no need for that. So what you do is, if you want to waste a space, we take it out. All right, and it's basically all tertiary education, yeah, and secondary school information, please don't include. All right, so this is one common rule of thumb that you need to follow. All right, after that, what you do is you need to list down some key knowledge areas. Key knowledge areas are basically the subjects taken from 2 semesters. I'm talking about last 2 semesters, not your first 2 semesters. Let's say, for example, your program is 8 semester long. You're going to probably take semester 7 or semester 8. Okay, those are the 2 semesters. The subjects of those 2 semesters usually industry ready, basically make you it's useful in the corporate industry out there. So that's why you took those in. So how much do you want to include? To me, between 6 to 10 would be fine. Over here is 8. Yeah. Over here, look at it: financial, management, accounting, audit, insurance, and the positioning is also important here. So let's say, for example, you're applying for a job that requires you to do financial work, then you put it this way. But let's say, for example, you're talking about tax work. Yeah. So you look at it, which keyword or knowledge that is relevant to tax. Over there is actually on the second row. On the second column, second row is income tax law. What you need to do, you need to move the income tax law to the top of financial accounting. That's how to tailor it. The rule of thumb here is to ensure that whatever information that people wants to that relates to the job that you want to apply, right, is being presented first as soon as possible, so that people can capture that. You don't want to talk about other things first, and the most relevant you share the back. That's not the way. Yeah. All right. So that's basically in terms of education and key knowledge areas. All right. If you have any question, all right, please type in the chat box later. I'm gonna address. All right. So that's on education. Okay. Moving along with the working experience. So the first pillar of all these experiences is working experience. So when you talk about working experiences, if you have, it's basically 2 things. The first thing is basically your internship or your practical, or the part-time jobs that you apply. When you talk about part-time jobs, it's those paying jobs. Yeah, you get a salary or allowance or whatever. So those are basically things that you need to include. All right. So how do you write them? You need to write the name of the company, and then the duration, September 27 to January 2018, and also the name of your position. Write in detail, what you do there. What you have done. Like for example, you assisted the director in conducting banking reconciliation. Write as much as possible, because this is to ensure that this is to basically showcase what you can offer in terms of your experiences. It's not much, but at least it's much more than your competitor. And that's important here. Is you're not applying a job by yourself only. There are other for every job available on Job Street, there will be probably 600 to 700 people applying for the same job. So that's the reality here. So what we do is we need to ensure that you need to be able to share, whatever is important. All right, so that you can brand yourself better and position yourself better than the competition. All right, so that's on the training. Same thing, similarly for your freshness for your part-time job for KCG, all right, frontline service crew, and you share that. You work in 7-Eleven, you work at, or delivery, Food Panda, or whatever, share that as well. Don't just, we talk about Food Panda and Grab, right? Don't just talk about, you deliver food or you deliver people, talk about the customer service experience there. Because these are all people, these are a way to talk about it, because you want to ensure that it's not just the basic of things that you need to do. There are other things that you can highlight as well. Horizon as much as possible in terms of the working experience. Up to this one probably if you have like 3 or 4. Probably mention 3. That's important. All right. Okay. After that, you move to your research project. When we talk about research project, okay, maybe your final year project. Okay, I'm not sure whether you guys have it. If you have it, you share that. If you don't have that, you mention a particular project that is very, very challenging or very, very meaningful to you. Okay, what you do is you write the name or the title, and then write the steps that you have taken to complete that project, and also the findings. So that's basically to share about the project. I'm not sure, if you're looking for a job that is project based, let's say for example the vacancy is really like project coordinator, whatever it is, then this part you need to amplify. Amplify meaning that it's not just one. You probably share 3 projects that you have done. So it gives people an understanding, what sort of experience in terms of you running. So that's how to look at it. Because of for example, applying for a project, and then probably the working experience you shorten it. You amplify this area. So that's how to tailor. All right. After that, we want to talk about the extracurricular and volunteering. Okay, if you're an active student, all right, what you need to do is you need to write the name of your union or your rank, and then the name of your club or association, and also the things that you've done. So, for example, MC of the accounting club night, provided the voice, and being an MC, you provide the voice for the night and ensuring a successful event. And then also, if that particular event or activity is basically started from the inside the university, then it becomes extracurricular. But if it's started from site, your university, then it becomes a volunteering activity. So, for example, Mercy Malaysia, they volunteer for Mercy Mobile Clinic over there. Then you can write it as a volunteering. So that's how to differentiate. What you do is, if you have many of them, you try to list them down according to either the rank of your position. Let's say, for example, you have a experience being a president of the club, then you probably talk about that first, or you want to follow the year. Year meaning the most latest one, 2020, and then 2018 and 2018, as needed. Right, as many as possible. To me, at the end of the day, whatever information that you share here, always remember, do not exceed 2 pages. If you still got, you can always share as much as possible. Yeah. So don't worry about that. All right. And if you have any questions, all right, just share it on the chat side there. All right, so that I can address it later in terms of the questions. All right, so moving along would be the skills and strength. Okay, this part is basically a section to share, your soft skills in more detail. So what you do is you need to identify 3 skill sets, soft skills that you have, yeah. And then you need to justify why you said you have that. For example, your communication skill. So the justification facilitated communication between members within the organizing event proactively and on stage to become an MC. So when you talk about being an MC, definitely you've got good communication skill. No on stage do that means that you'll have strong communication skills. So that's a way to prove it. And also, like for example, analytical skills. Demonstrated solid abilities in performing in-depth analysis of financial statement. All right, this is, for example, doing analysis of financial statement. So mention that. And also team, able to effectively work together within a cross-cultural team towards a common goal. So when you talk about teamwork, is to work towards a common goal. Like you're playing sports, you're playing a football team, you want to score a goal. So that's the goal. Same thing, you're playing badminton, you want to win the game. So it's basically that goal. So again, share something like that. All right. So there are many types of soft skills available. Communication, analytical teamwork are some of them. We can talk about planning skills. Well, you've got good problem solving skills, multitasking skills, and also leadership skills. All right, those are 7, the magnificent 7 soft skills that that usually share. All right, you can share, but 3 don't you have all 7 there? No point mentioning all of them. People get confused. Yeah? All right, mention just 3 of your top 1 and most relevant one. So if you're looking for a job in corporate communication, I think communication is important. You need to write there. All right, then moving along would be the IT skills. All right, IT skills, the MS Office is always there. All right, the Excel, Word, and PowerPoint, and also UBS for, let's say you're in accounting, like just share whatever software you know. Okay, things like Google, Firefox, please don't. Those are everybody at the click of button can do it. My 5-year-old son can do it as well. No writing all those things. All right, and the next languages. Okay, English, Malays are the standard language that we have. You've got good French, you can speak a bit of French, you can mention there, or Japanese, or Korean. Watch a lot of Korean drama. You can pick up a few sentences, and you can always write in there. But make sure you know how to speak. All right. Okay. So that's basically things that the 6 things sections that you need to have. Yeah. All right. The last 2 sections, which is the awards and also the preference, is optional. Okay. Optional depends on what you have it or not. Some people, they win a lot of things. For example, awarded Dean List for 6 consecutive semesters. First class student, definitely you have that. Okay. All right. Like me, I don't have it during my studies. Okay. If you have it, you put it in there, or you want something. You won best athlete award or best contributor, whatever it is, then you put it in there. If you don't have it, skip this. Okay, and then the last part is basically the preferences and the references. All right, when you talk about this part, to me, only include is requested by the vacancy advertisement. Let's say, for example, the vacancy advertisement we mentioned there. Please indicate your expected salary and email your resume to this email address. Right? If they mention that, then you need to put your expected salary. All right. So when you talk about salary, do your research, and the way to do the research is basically, of course, go online and they find all those in salary reports and everything. But the best one is if you keep still in contact with your seniors or even friends who already got a job, just ask them. Ask for a range of their starting. Of your starting pay only, a range, not exactly the number. You ask me, if a friend asks me how much you're earning, I won't even share. But if let's say they ask me about the range, what the range, they can give you a range. All right, so what you do is you ask enough people, then you get a pool of data, and then only you can your at the average salary that you can. So from there, you write it in like the vacancy advertisement writing. If not, please don't write it. Because this is the third thing that we're going to screen. Remember, the first thing what they're going to screen is your photo. All right. Second is the CGPA. The third thing is the expected salary. The issue is like this. If you write, without anything, the vacancy they ask you to write, but you go and write your expected salary and put in like 2,300, for example, right? But on the hiring end there, what they do is they put a budget of 2,200 only. All right. So once they look at their number and then compare to theirs, they check you without looking at anything. Because what? There are other candidates. But, you don't want to write all this thing in. You go, they look at your resume, it's strong enough. Okay, you go for the interview. When you interview and they like you, and you have the right skill sets and they like you. So when they ask you the question, how much you want to, what's your expected salary, you tell them 2,300 ringgit in the interview itself. All right. So when this thing happens, they will always look at, whether they can afford you or not, or rather whether they like you. But if they really like you, all right, they can always break the bank, add in another 100, to hire you in, just because they like you. So, but if you write your expected salary upfront, 2,300, without going for interview, you might miss this opportunity. So that's what I'm just trying to say here. Create different version, one version with the expected, one version without it. Right, so that you look at the vacancy and then you send over. All right, the last part is basically the references. Yeah, okay. Over here we talk about references. Always share 2 names. The first name is basically a lecturer, close lecturer that can give good character reference. And the second one is basically someone you have worked before. Let's say, for example, you in your internship, the best one would be your supervisor, like manager in your internship. But make sure, both of you are really friends, kamching. You don't want to be like someone who is don't like you and then you put a name there. No point. All right, find someone who is that likes you and then you put it in. And again, vet them first. Vet them meaning that give them a call. All right, give them a call telling them that you want to be there. I mean, you want to put them as a referee for your job application. I think that they would anything about me, like they call you. All right, so that kind of vetting you need to do. All right, so that's basically in terms of the resume itself, the content. If you've got any question in terms of content, Hans, what about what about this information? Should I include or not? Then later on address. All right. So that's the fundamentals. Okay, so a bit of fundamentals, more about fundamentals. When you talk about the English, I use either UK English, US English, or I do mix them. So UK, when you talk about UK, the differences is basically the word analyze. ANALYZE. ZE is basically US, SE is the UK. All right, same thing with the word behavior. VIOUR. That OUR is basically UK, VIOR is just US. Be careful about that. All right, and also when you talk about line spacing, is important to maintain them. All right, the first section and the second section, if it's two spaces, 2 lines, make sure the third section and the fourth section are 2 lines. Maintain it 2 lines. All right, and also font types. Most of the time, I recommend either you use Time Newman or Garment or Calibri. All right, and try to avoid Arial. Okay, Arial, when you write the same sentence, it takes a longer space. If you don't believe me, go and type the quick brown fox jumps over the lazy dog. All right, what you do is you put 4 lines. The first line is Times, the second line is Garment, third line is Calibri, and the last line is Arial. Arial is going to be the longest. All right, so try not to use too much space for the same thing. All right, and when you talk about the font size, should be between 10 to 12. Okay, anything less than 10, the decision maker, everyone cannot see it. They reject you, or anything bigger, use most of the time I use 11. 11 is best. And avoid bolding and caps locking the entire paragraph. When you do that, nobody can see what you are bolding. So when you talk about bolding, it's always 2 to 3 words only. All right, so that's the best thing to bold. Caps lock most of the time is for the section heads. Yeah, you look at the section, it's all caps lock. And ensure conformity. The conformity is like, for example, the bullets that you're using, right, with solid round, solid circle, then make sure it's solid circle all the way. You don't want to be like the first part is solid circle, second part is just a circle, and then after that it's diamond, solid diamond. It looks what they call that, not professional. It's everywhere, so you don't want that to happen. Always use the same one and then ensure conformity. So that's a bit about the fundamentals. All right, any question on that? All right, probably you got any question on certain things you want to use, you can always share in the chat box. I'm going to address it later. And okay, moving along. All right, we talk about layout selection. Layout selection is basically the design. So what sort of design we need to how to pick up the design. All right, so most of the time I'm going to share the 5 criteria. To select the layout. Okay, the first one is balance of space and words, and then easily identifiable sections. This is the second one, and thirdly, make sure there are no borders or fancy background. Okay, the reason is when we talk about no borders, a lot of times, this is from my experience. Yeah, when I write resume for my clients, propose designs. So a lot of times when I propose design with borders, 80%, I can say a lot of them, majority of them will come back to me, Hans, I don't want borders, I hate borders. So it means that these people, naturally, when they hire, they don't want to see borders as well. So I feel that it can be translated that way. It's best not to use any borders. And when you talk about fancy background, unless you're in graphics or in art, it doesn't create the professional feel. Yeah, if you're using a fancy background. So please don't do that. All right, and then number 4 is minimal use of tables is because of applicant tracking system. All right, right now a lot of companies are using applicant tracking system. It's actually an automated system to screen resumes. Yeah, it's ATS. All right, so what it does is this ATS system always, when they screen the resume, right, if there are content inside tables, text boxes, they might screen it differently. They scan it differently, or rather, they will skip it. So that's the problem with that. So in order for you not to miss out the opportunities, don't write in tables. So we don't want that kind of thing to happen. So write in columns instead. Columns normally without the tables and the text boxes. And lastly, make sure there is effective use of space. The whole resume, there's not much empty space available. Use up as much as possible with a balanced feel. All right. So let me share a bit what my main. All right. This is clean, right? You can use color as well if you want it. All right. So if you look at the names, and then you can see the skills and expertise, and also work experience. Okay, those are basically the sections. So you can see the section clearly. All right. Then after that, you look at the second thing that is, the first thing that I mentioned is basically the balance, right? You can see the balance there. It's pleased to the eyes. That's the most important thing. And there's no what they call that, borders. And number 4 is basically the tables. And there's no, and mostly all of the spaces available is used up. So that's important. Right. So as an example, you can use your color. You want to put a bit of color gray, orange, blue. Try to avoid red or yellow, depending. Pink is still fine, but depends. Go and create different versions, not just one version that you're going to create. You're going to create different versions and different. So go online. There's a lot of free tools out there that you can do, but make sure you're not writing on text boxes. A lot of times, download that particular what they call that design, right? Actually writing on text box. That's the problem. When you write in text box, you send to a company, a large company uses ATS system. Those systems have a problem to scan. You know why they use ATS systems? Because why? Okay, because nowadays there will be like probably 500 to 600 people applying for the same job. All right. So if you use a human, screen them up, 500 times 6 seconds, it's basically 3,000 seconds. You're going to wait 2-3 day man hour to just screen resume. It's a waste of time. All right. So what you do is these companies use this system. So what the system does is they're going to probably shortlist to 30 or 40 people. And human comes in. It's much easier and much more cost efficient. So that's the thing. All right. So this is selecting around there. Question on that, all right? You need to, just share in the chat box. All right, so a bit of do's and don'ts before we end the presentation and move to the Q&A. All right, the first thing is, as mentioned throughout the whole webinar, is to change and customize your resume to suit to suit the requirements of each job. All right, please do that. Don't make up information. Make up information meaning that if you're not the president of that club, don't mention that you are a president of the club. It's like this, right? Right now, no problem, they didn't check. But after sometimes you started work already, and then some people, the check, and suddenly they found out you're not there, and then they can dismiss you on the spot, right? Because what, you are not, you're telling a lie, basically. All right, we don't lie. What we do is amplify. Amplify is we talk a lot about it, minimize the rest. But you that particular thing happen, So that's the thing with information, yeah. And also check and double check to make sure you are detailed. To make your mistakes means that you're not checking until the issue is, even for your own resume, you make mistakes. Just imagine I give you a 1 million project, you make mistakes. That's that big risk. Yeah? So don't do that. All right, and then we talk about acronym. All right, I always provide a full term. Right? Okay, UNISA, for example, you got to provide the acronym before you use the acronym. And also, at your level, your resume not be longer than 2 pages long. So we need to be. If you can do it in 1 page, yeah, go ahead. But most of the time, it could be 1 page and a half, 1 page, 1/3 of the second page is fine. Just don't go until the 3rd page. All right, so a bit about that. Okay, so a bit of Q&A here. So let's move along to your Q&A. So I'm sure you guys get a lot of tips, right, in terms of how you need to brand yourself on paper. All right, yeah. Okay, so let's look at the questions. Yeah. All right, but by the way, okay. Okay, let's look at the questions. All right, so it's all morning. All right. Okay, so I would like to ask you. Okay, put our applying for internship position. Internship, you haven't graduated, yes, yet, yes, you need to include the SPM or even the foundation. But I don't know, what you guys are on your 3rd year, final year, or which. But if you're looking for a job, use to look for a job, take out all this SPM level information. You don't want to do that. All right, another question I want to ask, if the career profile is the same as career objective. Okay, no, it's not. Career objective is something that you want. It's not something that the company wants. What you need to do is, you see, the example given is to build a career in IT with major in computer manufacture, allows personal growth and provide opportunity for new experience, for example. It means like, all these things that is mentioned in the objective, it benefits who? Benefits the applicant company. It's benefiting the applicant. So we don't want to do that. It's like you're taking first. We don't want to do that. We want to give first. So how you give? You give by telling them what sort of experiences, hard skills, soft skills, and also what they call that characteristic that you have can benefit them. That's why I asked you to create a profile rather than an objective. Yeah? And also, may I ask for the extracurricular, is the position president or the activities we do is much more important to be inserted? To me, three things that is important. The first thing is the position. The second thing is the club name or the association name or what they call that would be the activity name. And the third thing you don't really clear. All right, so that's the thing to talk about extracurricular. Similar, if you look at the way I suggested you guys to write your resume. It's a lot of details of what you do. Don't mention it in terms of a bachelor degree, just bachelor degree. People don't know what you learn there. You need to share, what you learn through the key knowledge area. Working experience, you don't just write the name of the company position only. You write, in detail what you do during your internship, for example. Similarly with the extracurricular, yeah. All right. So another question, sikitnya. Tanyalah banyak sikit. All right. All right. Which kind do you personally favor more? Creative one or basic one? Creative resume is very beautiful, or resume is already made from internet template. You ask me. All right, when we talk about design, right? Okay, there's a saying with all resume writing, friends here, in the US, they were saying that, designs get you the attention. All right, the content gets you view. You see, so if you can balance both, then it's good. Sometimes, some people, they put in very nice design, but there's no content. They don't get the interview as well. But sometimes, they don't write. Their design is not that good. Probably takes a long time before people grab their attention, but the content is people might give them the opportunity as well. So you go and digest that. It is about a balance of both. The most important thing is, you need to have the right keyword. I feel this is important there. No matter how good it is, but there's no right keyword, there is, you have the problem, of getting the opportunity. I do a lot of before MCO, I think 2019, all right, and 2018, we participated in the Star Job Fair. Me and my team go down there, opened up a resume clinic. Been looking at people's almost like 5,000 resumes during that 2 days. You can find a lot of them. They have very nice resume, but problem is the information is not there. So again, we need to share that, but a lot of I can say 80%, 90% is basic ones that I think you probably learned during your SPM. I'm not sure. I don't know where they get it from. The name, and then we talk about the name, very lengthy information. 1 page of personal information, second, 1 page of education information, third page, 1 page of working experience. So lengthy, it's like a assignment. Yeah, it's like an assignment. It shouldn't be. It's just a piece of paper, brochure. That would create the interest. All right. Okay. So another question: is there any specific format for resume applying for government position sector? All right. To me, government, both of it, government and private, will be quite similar. It's just that government, if you can write it, there is some people who wants it that way, but it depends, if you're junior position, probably Malay is fine, but if you're senior position in government, most appreciate it if it's in English. I write quite a lot as well for people who wants to move to the government sector. All right, so that's thing, But information skills, what you can do, and also your character. All right, so another one. If the company wants our picture in the resume, can we attach our selfie instead of passport photo? Yes. Don't include passport photo. Passport photo is for passport. Selfie, when you take selfie, not the selfie yang suka-suka, happy, please. You dress yourself nicely, professionally. I'm sure, the Magnificent 7 series, there's one part we talk about personal thing. What to wear. Okay, you know what to wear, what color that suits you the best. Okay, you wear like that, kalau ladies tu buat makeup, whatever it is, cantik-cantik. Okay, then the empty background like what you guys having right now, all right? Like myself, ada sheets, ada slide kat belakang tu. But you find a what they call that empty background and then take the selfie from an angle. You can use angle like this, to take the selfie. Kalau kanan tak cantik, buat kiri lah, tu je. So to me, after that, you crop it in a circle form and then you paste it on the photo. All right, you can use the same photo for your LinkedIn profile as well if you want to. All right, it's to create a sense of professional, and that's important. All right, okay, so that's on photo. And sometimes, if you don't want to attach it on the resume, to stick it on the resume, boleh juga. What you do is you attach it in the file that you want to send to with. Kalau you hantar email, you can always send that photo, in a way. But again, when you talk about attaching the file, for photo, your photo in the file, right? A lot of times, if you're not careful, right, that particular picture will make your resume becomes in megabyte lah. Jadi 1 megabyte, for example. Kalau just words, no words, probably right, 74 kilobyte je. Because of one photo which is high resolution, dia akan naik benda tu. So the issue is, if you put it there, you send to a company that is using ATS. ATS system has another problem is, they would rank files that is heavy. Kalau lebih lagi dari, I think 400 kilobyte tu at the bottom. Alright, means that you're not selected. Alright, so if you want to make sure, it's not high res. Maksudnya high res is it means you reduce the resolution. Resolution, you can drag that photo dia jadi super pixelated. Those are the best one. Because it doesn't take out a lot of kilobyte if you want to attach it. That's on the photo. All right. Okay. So another one is okay. I always got confused with language proficiency. Is it better to put in bullets or level? To me, then the many ways of doing this. If some people don't even need to put a proficiency. They just put in English, Malay tu je. Sampai sana baru cerita lah. Kalau you're good at it, really really good, right? Or you want to put 10-10, 10/10, meaning everybody, write verbal 10, written 10 lah. Depends on that. So to me, how you want to write it. But most of the time, I'll put it in level form, like intermediate, fluent, excellent, basic kind of way, to let people know instead of writing it in numbers. Yeah? All right. So the same thing IT as well. MS Word, for example, 10, and then Excel. 5, for example. It looks weird lah. Don't know what it is. It's basically proficiency lah. But again, just put, to me, IT, no problem. Just put it in there. Kalau basic pun tak apa. Tak apa lah. Every time you want to learn something on about IT, you can go on YouTube. YouTube, there are million people sharing, how to do something on any practical program. The most important, the hardest part is basically, asking the question lah. So that's on YouTube. Right, so on IT and also language skills. All right, if I used to work in a different field from a field that I want to apply, should I include in the resume? Yes, you need to include. But your fresh graduate, your main job right now is basically to study. All right, so whatever you have worked before that, is to show that you have before, you know the pressure, you know the environment and everything. So just to me, just include. Probably. The first version you share a lot of things. The second version, you see you need to take out the information or not to reduce the length. But if you ask me, you need to include. All right. So if we do our internship and continue work there graduation, do we have to mention about the internship in the resume? Since it's the same place, yes, you need to do. So what you do is, for example, you work in the company ABC company lah. All right. You internship tahun lepas, June to August, for example. And then after that, they confirm you become executive. So what you need to write is basically, ABC company, all right, the duration is June 2020 to present. So the first line would be executive. Okay, August 2020 to present. Then you write your executive level punya job scope. Then bawah tu, skip one line, bawah tu write internship. Okay, June 2020 to August 2020. Then write your internship punya experience. So there, people will understand that, oh yeah, okay, you work there, people confirm you become executive. Depends on what you want. Most of the time, most of the time do not want to write, due to good performance, they offer me a job. I don't think you need to write those kind of stuff. All right, unless you get or anything, then it's worth mentioning. All right, or promoted. I don't think it's promoted because what, you won't get a job in internship then. So that's how to write that. We talk about internship. Okay, all right. Another one is, okay, do we need to attach our certificates when going to any interview? I mean, to me, don't waste your resources lah. Student miskin kan, tak ada duit kan. Don't go and photocopy banyak-banyak sampai sana pas kat diorang. Diorang kalau company tu dia berminat, alright, they photocopy, they will photocopy themselves, or you gonna come in, you're gonna photocopy yourself to give it to them, alright. That's the thing. But you need to bring hard copies lah of your certificates dalam satu folder. So how do you arrange your certificates? Okay, start with your degree, and then your diploma and SPM level. And then after that, semua participation yang you ada dalam universiti tu, all the way up to sekarang lah, Kalau really active, the whole portfolio 20 page penuh lah, depends. Alright, so that's how you ask me. That's how to do with the certificate. And don't need to send any certificate when you're applying for any job. Please don't do that. Don't waste resources. Don't waste the interviewer's time also. Another thing, you kalau it's like this. If you don't send hard copy, you send soft copy, right? You send that email to me, I look at the email, there's 20 attachment there, I tak nak klik langsung. Malas. Because what? I tak tahu yang mana ni. So the best one is just send only one attachment, which is your resume. Kalau dia minat, and then you bring it to the interview. And then you share that. They look at it, they really, as you share your experience, they can confirm. Alright. Okay. Then, what if it's just a part-time job? Do we need to include also? Yes, part-time job dalam sehari pun include. Tak payah cakap lah 3-4 bulan. Alright, let's say for example, you kerja hari dekat dulu IT fair kan, pass flyer je. Alright, sekarang tak ada IT fair lah, MCO kan, tak boleh pergi fair. Alright, so you plus flyer je. So let's say for example, you plus flyer, that particular fair is weekend bulan November lah, 2019 kan, IT fair kan. I mean, Jumaat, Sabtu, Ahad, 3 hari je kan. So what you do in your resume is, let's say for example, IT fair, part-time IT fair lah, basically, right? So from there you write November 2019 to November 2019. It sounds like a 1 month, but it's just three days. It's fine because what it shows that it happens during that particular month. Then you share lah apa kerja yang you nak buat. Alright. So that's on the part-time jobs. You have a lot of it, just include lah. Itu yang penting. So if you have a lot of it, really a lot, banyak 7-8, and then probably you need to find out which one is much more relevant, and then you include. Don't worry, people look at it so many because what you are a full-time student. It's not job hunting, job hopping. Kalau dah habis belajar, and then you have like 8 jobs in 2 years, that's job hopping. Right? No, you don't want that. Okay, people, because what? If you mention yourself a job hopper, right? Siapa lah nak train? I hire you 3 bulan, you dah quit. What's the point, right? So that's the mentality of hiring managers. So on a lot of, if you're a candidate, you're clever, don't do that. Stick to a company for at least 12 months. Companies feel that it's worth investing in you lah. Because you kerja dengan orang pun, dia orang invest in you juga untuk buat kerja kan, untuk train and everything. So always remember that. Alright, another question is, we need to attach a job cover letter first and then the resume. But when does it necessary to give the letter? Okay, to me, alright, if you're applying a job, you know the email address. Alright, email address. You don't need to attach a cover letter. You write the content of the cover letter in the body of the email. Then what you do, you the resume. You don't want to let people click 2 things lah. They open up the email, dalam tu dia tulis benda yang cover letter tu. Then okay, you attach your resume. So that's how to position yourself lah. In your cover letter, you need to brand yourself. It's not just writing I want to apply for a job. And branding in your basically mentioning that 2 things that I've shared in the early part is talk about your hard skills and also your soft skill. So that's what you have right now. Kalau dah start kerja tu, then it becomes different lah. You know, if you're thinking about someone who is really experienced, all right, you want to do what? Like Mr. Syed, for example, you know, he has he can brand himself as someone who can really do crisis communication, can really do develop communication strategies, you know. So that's his branding. Tapi you belum sampai level 2. So what you do is you use whatever you have to brand yourself lah, which is your hard skill and soft skills. You know, slowly lah, you know, it takes 25 tahun. Bukannya setahun jagung boleh ada dah benda ni. You know, even myself, you know, I gain all these skills I think for after 10 years doing this, you know, in resume writing, baru boleh ada confident, you know, build up experience lah, tak apalah, you know, how you experience is basically working together with the client. You know, I can tell you a lot of times I don't know everything. I usually learn it from my client as well. The difference is, you know, I know the skills, the tools lah, but how does it work in the market right now, I don't know. You know, but right now, like for example, the MCO punya economy macam mana kan, I'm kurang pasti juga. But I mean, we need to work with it. We need to spend the time helping them, you know, following up. That's basically to learn as well. You know, and it's continuous learning lah. You know, that's part of it. Tak kisahlah umur 20 ke 40 ke 60 ke, you know, you still need to learn. Alright, any limit to the number of extracurricular activity skills to be listed? To me, your limit is basically your page length. Don't mean for all the content that you've written, try not to exceed 2 pages. Kalau selagi ada 2 pages tu, within 2 pages you can put what you can in there. But even from experience, kalau you know, so orang yang sangat aktif and dia do a lot of part-time jobs and do a lot of research, memang tak cukup tempat. Tapi memang sukar lah jumpa orang macam ni, memang sukar. Most of the time it's either, you know, because what, all of us have 24 hours tau. You know, it's either you spend a lot of time studying or spend a lot of time doing extracurricular work. I'm sure you know a lot of friends, bila exam ni alamak macam mana kan, tapi dia memang aktif gila. So both of them have their advantages we're going out there in the marketplace. But to me, just be yourself lah. You know, be yourself. You know, don't try not to you know, I ulat buku. You know, I tak aktif sangat, tak apalah. Aktif pun tak apa. Jangan aktif sangat je, because you're more to academic excellence. So that's basically in terms of how to answer that question, like extracurricular. All right. Okay. Any question? You know, settle all the questions. Yeah. You know, by the way, you know, you might be wondering, you know, how come, you know, I'm taking mechanical engineering, end up doing this. I mean, I give a lot of talks. You know, it's not sekarang webinar season kan for past, I think transcript. You know, 2019 was busy, pergi utara selatan, timur barat bagi talknya ni in with two students lah. You know, up to like 500 people mu ada, kadang-kadang 20 orang je, kadang-kadang 300, you know. So I mean, I usually share that lah. You know, when you talk about why I moved to this particular thing. Okay, 20 years ago, I had the same problem like you. You know, want to apply jobs to their resume. During that time, online or the internet was not as advanced right now. So dia punya information pun orang tulis je lah. So you buat je lah. So I was feeling, you know, why not? You know, we have I know in Malaysia have an expert in this area lah. So that's a fresh grad kan. Macam mana nak fresh grad? You know, from a fresh grad to become a expert. So it's basically the learning curve that goes along for the past 18 years lah. But you know, I already have that particular thing. So the reason, you know, one of it, that was the pull factor. The push factor from mechanical engineering to this field is basically, you know, when we talk about mechanical engineering, I feel I can speak better to people than speaking better to machine. You know, machinery, cakap, you rosak kan, cakap dengan you tak tahu repair. Whereas, you know, dengan manusia, you cakap, I can help you, help you get your job lah, you know. So that's the push factor as well. So slowly, you know, I work in the engineering field for around 6 years juga lah. Then only full time become this. So that's basically a bit of experience about that. Okay, if there's an interview, and when do we need to give our resume to the interview, or we actually do not need to give physical resume, just email an interview, we look at it during the IB. Alright, there's no harm, all right, printing out a few copies and letak and put it in your folder. Kan folder tadi kan ada your folder means that the place where you put your certs and everything. Put a few copies there. When you go for an interview, usually the interviewer dah ada tu they're in front of them dah. They will write something there definitely. It's just that just in case you're on tak ada, then you can always pass them a copy. You never know. It's just be courteous lah. 2 pages je kalau maximum pun apa harganya kan. It's just that I don't want you to pass them the certification. Kalau certificate tu dalam 50 page tu, you pass kat dia orang tak dapat kerja buang masa je. Nampak? Whereas 2 page you can always share that 2 page resource. So no worry about that. Just bring it your actual resume, put it in front of you, and then in front of them as well. So it's not a high investment lah. 2 page here. All right. Okay. All right. Any question? Anything you want to know? All right. But by the way, if you call it the things that I've shared right now, and you want to know more, please go to my Facebook. Check it, and then because I share a lot of infographics to help you guys get through this to get it basically. Right, so it's Facebook /Hans.resume. You can find me, no problem. All right. Any questions? Yes.
I've got one question for you, Mr. Hans. So the question is, what is the most important thing or section to include in our resume in order to leave a big impact to the employer?
All right, the most important thing would be the profile. The profile, because this profile will always be different. Because if you look at a different, I've written a lot of resumes out there. Fresh graduate usually tends to start out with the object and then the what they call it, the education information, stuff like that, and forget about the profile. But by looking at the profile, someone, hiring managers can only gauge what sort of person you are already. Either, first thing we talk about communication and how you communicate your strengths. So if it's a good one line, people will already know that, you are able to identify and communicate strengths. Similarly for companies, that they need someone who do that. Communication maker is basically that, a brand the company, and then identify that. So if you can do that, it means that the first stage, you already passed already, because what you can able to create a strong not say one-liner small short paragraph to share your strengths and to brand yourself. Important for you guys in kalau buat corporate com kan. Semua corporate com apa? Yeah. I don't know, because from Mr. Syed usually they deal. So but anyhow that to me is the one. The rest of it is important juga, bukan tak important, tapi the head of that profile. Some people some people look at it will not even look at the rest of it. Dia dapat profile tu dia panggil dia. So it depends. Sebab masa kurang kan, within the first 6 months whether they can catch it or not. Right. So that's to answer your question. All right.
Thank you so much, Mr.
All right,
Han. The answer just now. I think I'm gonna add one last question for you to answer before we end our session for today. Should we include even the job experience, even though the job experience is far from what are we applying right now?
Even the job, the work that you do is not relevant to the job that you want to apply, right?
Yeah.
That's we include. What, because right now your full-time your full-time job is basically to study, right? That itself is already most relevant one. The rest of it, including jobs that is not relevant, is to ensure that you let the hiring managers that you have worked before, you have perform under some sort of expectation. When you work with anybody, people pay a salary, they're expecting one. Definitely, takkan bayar duduk nak buat apa buat dia tak ada. Dia ada expectation. So it's to allow them to understand, you're not really fresh, you have worked before, and it makes it easier for them to absorb you into the office environment or the company environment. Dia tak, kalau orang yang tak pernah kenal orang yang dah kerja before kan, even though kerja Padini for example, different. So to me, if you're like doing, I mean it's understandable lah. If you can get a job that is relevant to your memang rare. I can tell you a lot, very rare. Most of the time, those jobs that you can get at your stage right now, belum ada degree, ialah kerja-kerja yang tak ada kaitan. Yes, and people will understand that, no problem. It's just to let people know that job has its own skill set to learn. If you kerja Padini, frontline, semua tu kerja customer service. You know how to deal with people. Alright, if you're doing data entry, office administration job, is basically planning and also doing administrative skill. Letter writing and everything. It is a skill set. There is a skill set to learn from every job. So to me, if you are in this stage, just include whatever it is. That is mean that you have done. Even Grab, for example, Food Panda, Grab is customer service punya kerja. Itu bukan menghantar. It's the main thing, but that is basically customer service. All right. So I look at all the Grab people, and if you unite a Grab, they talk of things. And this is where you build a rapport and everything. So these are skill sets that you can gain from there. All right. So that's basically to answer your question.
Thank you so much, Mr. Hans, for the very insightful words. From the answer just now, we can always remember and bear in mind that we have to use the perfect or the correct layout for our resume, and so always alter your resume for different purposes. For example, for different company, you have to alter it to suit the company. Also, a resume must not fit two page so that you won't waste the future employee time. From the Q&A session just now and the session just now, it is hoped that the vast knowledge will be practiced for future use. Ladies and gentlemen, with that, we have come to the end of our talk. All in all, we would like to wish and express our sincerest gratitude to our speaker of the day for the really great information. We will also like to thank the lecturers as well as every patient and support throughout this entire talk. We also wish to apologize for any recurring inconvenience during the course of this event. This marks the end of our
May this club sparks the student spirit to continue striving the best for the better future, especially in the field of public relations. And may you spend the rest of your day in high spirit. Stay healthy and stay safe. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good morning and good day. This event has finally come to the end. But before we go, I would kindly to ask everyone to remain in this online room for a brief photo session. May I ask all of our guests to please turn on your camera and strike your most confident pose. Please remain in your pose for 5 seconds for us to screen capture it. Thank you, Mr. Hans, for sharing session.
Yeah, thanks for participating. Glad to be able to support. Yes. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Mr. Hans.
Thank you so much, Mr. Han.